I've been working three-dimensionally with paint for some time now. It started with my staple paintings where I would pour paint into corrals of staples that were laid on their side on canvas. And I was interested in getting away from a gestural mark and just letting the paint have the substance that it had when it fell on its own, and in this case it was contained. It was shallow relief, and the next obvious step from that was to create something more three-dimensionally. So I was interested in exploding the paint off the surface, and if you can imagine, the weaves of a canvas being sort of exploded into three-dimensional space. So that led me to work on my paint drop sculptures. So all of this work has different types of painted gestures that stay away from vibrato type mark making, but takes a specific type of paint stroke or drop and highlights it, so it accents this idea of the painterly mark. I use a lot of representational imagery, human forms in my paint drop sculptures. In a way, I see them as abstract. To begin with, they are specific from specific images, mostly media culture. I want the viewer to recognize the interaction, the general gist, the movie star or the political arena, the migrant crisis. I work with process color, which I'm really interested in. So I use color theory. I start with a mid-tone. It's always purple. For some reason that works. Yellow is the next color, magenta, blue, and green. My work always develops out of material play, and I think like any painter, the meaning comes during that process and after the process. It does sort of lead from my last work, Tear Garden, where I was taking large chunks of paint and suspending them in space. In a way, this is like a poem, where the past work I was writing an epic, and in this case I'm writing a haiku. So I have a very limited space. It's a smaller piece. What I'm doing is I'm suspending what I'm building up to be paint strokes on monofilament, and I'm at the stage now where I've developed a core to keep the stroke suspended. Static TV screen. It could be a kinetic molecular portrait. Ultimately, the work is about the structure of image making, but I also see these paint drops as analogous to ways of constructing images, pixels, but also ways of constructing reality, DNA, and atoms. Again, with all of my work, the final image, I have no idea what it's going to look like until the last step of the process, which is nerve-wracking, but it's also quite exciting too. I see paint as a metaphor for human physicality. So that's the conceptual underpinnings of my work. The one medium left in the world where it comes from the earth, it's of the earth, and that's what the work ultimately is about.